Hello, this is Barb with barbstamps.com, and I've got another Barb Stamps video for you today. In our video today, I want to show you how to make this really cool shaker card using some new products from Stampin' Up! That will be available August 2nd. The products are the Thoughtful Branches Bundle, which includes the Beautiful Branches Thinlits die set, along with this wonderful Thoughtful Branches stamp set. And this stamp set has got some wonderful sayings in it, so I'm so excited to have it. And I just love the font on these stamps. It's just really cool. So the stamp set is a photopolymer stamp set, and it's got two sets of stamps to complete the entire thing. And then the die set, the Beautiful Branches die set, includes numerous dies. We've got one here that could be a treetop or a hydrangea. Of course, the tree, a really cool leaf. A few other little pieces here. We've got a small leaf, a little bit larger leaf, a couple of birds, so they can be looking either way, another tree trunk, which actually kind of reminds me of a finger pointing, and an apple. So it's a set of 9 dies. All right, to get started, you're going to need the following items for the card. This is a piece of our Whisper White thick cardstock. Since we're making a shaker card, the front of it's going to have a little bit more bulk than your standard card. I wanted to make sure that it doesn't, crumple up, tip over, whatever. So the thick cardstock is best for that. I've got a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of crumb cake, and I used our layering oval framelits and just die cut a hole out of the middle. I've also got another piece of Whisper White. This is 3 1/4 by 4. And then I've got a piece of our window sheets, and this measures 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. I did go ahead and die cut the tree already with some soft suede cardstock. I've got a number of die cut leaves using that little tiny leaf that was in the stamp, or in the die set. So to prepare our shaker portion, I'm going to flip this over, and I'm just going to add some snail adhesive around my oval. Okay, so I'm just going to take the window sheet, cover that up. Okay, so now we have our window sheet in there. Next, we're going to use our foam adhesive strips. These are new to the 2016 catalog, and they're going to be the best thing since sliced bread for making shaker cards. So you get 20 strips of this, plus you get the outside edge. So you actually get 22.5 strips. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel one of these off. And they're just like our Stampin' Dimensionals, but they're cut into strips. So I'm just going to start at some point on here, close to the opening that I did with the oval framelit. And I'm just working my way around here using these foam strips, making sure that I don't go into the openings. I don't want the recipient of my card to see the inside. And that wasn't quite long enough, which of course is no problem. We've got some little snippets left over from some other projects I've done. And this card is actually a card that my Big Shot at Home girls got in their packets this month for July. So I hope they enjoyed this video. All right, so I like to just turn it over and smash it down just to make sure that it's really stuck to the window sheet really well. I'm going to set that aside for a second while we prepare our tree. So I've got my piece of Whisper White here, and I'm going to go ahead and use the treetop image to stamp a background on this piece. And I'm going to use Pink Pirouette for this. I wanted it to be just a little bit lighter, brighter pink. So we'll ink that up. The stamp itself does have a little point on it. I don't know if you can see that little point here. That actually lines up with the die. So the die also has a little point on it. So if you were to stamp this and you want to die cut it, you would just stamp it with the arrow pointing up. And then when you lay your die over the top of it, you'll have it pointing up, and then you can see, because they've left some space around here, which is brilliant. Let me kind of show you what I'm talking about here. I'm going to go ahead and just sort of stamp this onto my piece of white. And then you can see that if I lay this over my stamped image, I can line that up perfectly because they purposely left open these wonderful holes on the edges. So if I was going to die cut that, I could. I like to use our multi-purpose glue for this kind of gluing. So we're going to just attach our tree to the stamped image. So we just have a little bit of fun pink peeking out in the back. And I do want to attach a couple of these leaves to the tree before I actually add all my shaker bits, just because I want some of them to be stationary and not to shake around. I want them to stay on the tree. So I'm just going to kind of randomly glue a few of these down. Okay, so those are just going to stay there all the time. I'm going to go ahead and put a couple more of these, and of course I'm going to have the stamped image up, so as it's shaking around you can see my cute little design on there. Now we need a few little snippets of sequin, so I'm just going to cut myself a little snippet from both of these colors here. All right, and then you can just pick these off one by one. The gold ones off. All right, got our little shaker bits on there. So now I'm going to kind of just eyeball where I'm going to end up placing this, so I can make sure all my little bits are within, the confines of the oval. We'll try to escape there. All right, so then you just peel off the protective backing. And we're just going to kind of eyeball this, and then we're just going to stick it down. Press it down really well. Okay. And that is basically your shaker card right there. So you've got those bits that are going to stay in place, and you've got those other little bits that are going to shake around, which makes it really cool. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a piece of ribbon across the bottom. I'm going to show you a little trick that I like to use. I like to use a bottle. An empty bottle of Stampin' Mist is the perfect circumference, perfect size around to make a really nice, perfect knot. I like my knots to be tight, so I don't necessarily like to tie them around the front of a card because I can't always get them nice and tight as I'm tying them on something. But if I tie them around a bottle and then I trim them, it's a lot better. So I guess I can show you how I do this. I just start my bow here, start my knot, pull that tight, and then I bring this over the front, pick up my tail, over the top, through the middle, and then I just kind of really manipulate it and pull it from the one side. And that makes a really nice knot there. Go ahead and snip that off. And then you just simply slide it off the bottle. And then I like to measure about where, I kind of want my knot to be in this area. So I'm going to kind of lay my knot there, and then I can sort of see that I need to trim it about like that, so that when I put it on, it'll be perfect. I need to snip off this end, make this even. And I'm just going to add some snail on the back of the card. And then we'll just wrap that around and stick it to the snail. Okay, and that way my knot is on there nice and tight. All right, we've got our main card base again here. This is our thick Whisper White. So I've scored it already with my Stampin' Trimmer. Bring in my bone folder here, because this is a little bit thicker, so you really do need to use a bone folder to get that nice crisp fold. The foam strips are a little bit thicker than a regular dimensional, like almost twice as thick. So since I already used the foam strips to attach my shaker portion, to make my card the same height, I'm just going to add some of these strips rather than dimensionals to pop this piece up. That way, the whole thing will be the same height, basically. Put that on there straight. I need new glasses. I went to the eye doctor the other day, but they aren't ready yet, so I'm having a little trouble seeing. Heading into my 50th birthday, so I could imagine that that's one of those things that gets a little bit worse over time. Okay, so the front of the card's done. We're going to open it up. We're going to stamp a greeting. Like I said, this stamp set has some wonderful, wonderful greetings in it. I really love the font of this set, like I said. So I'm going to use the You're in My Thoughts stamp for the inside of my card. And I'm going to use Crumb Cake ink to do this. Tap, tap, tap gently. I don't want to overload it. I don't want to get a bunch of ink on my block so that it gets on my hands. And we'll see if we can get this straight with these wonderful eyes that we're working with these days. I think that looks pretty good. And that's it. That's how you make a shaker card using our foam strips and the new Thoughtful Branches bundle from Stampin' Up! And like I did say, the bundle will be available August 2nd through the end of August while supplies last. So be sure to order early if you want it. My email is barb@barbstamps.com. If you have any questions or need any information, please feel free to email me. And do check out my blog, or excuse me, my store, shoppingwithbarb.com. And thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learned something and have a fabulous day.